my concern really rose from that how do we preempt these kinds of crises from recurring? And this takes coordination among nations. No nation can do it on their own. And there are so many knock-on effects, just as the European crisis now illustrates. All countries suffer from that. And so how do we come together and coordinate and preempt crises as well as restore growth going forward in the world economy? To me, there's a great problem in global governance because you have so many different countries now. It's not anymore the system that we had in the 1980s, where we had the G5, relatively like-minded nations, 3 Europeans, Japan, and the United States, sort of coming together and resolving world's problems. It wasn't a perfect system then, but it was much easier to coordinate. It wasn't easy then, but it was easier than today, where we have not that like-minded countries like China and India coming together with Europe, established sort of nations, Germany, United States, and such. So somebody's got to, really the central tenet of why the system has worked is not only that there hasn't been as many countries in the past, but that there has been leadership, and that leadership was always American leadership, and somebody coordinated the play, and somebody paid the public for the global public goods, and somebody footed the bill in international institutions, and somebody was sort of there to set the tone and the rules and drive the agenda and the global stage. And that was, to a great extent, America's role. And now we haven't had that in the past few years. And to me, it is still imperative that America lead, because you have, countries, you have numerous countries on the world stage. You have China, you have the Europeans, you have Japan, you have all these other countries. But none of them, is my argument, is able to lead in the world economy, or they won't be followed necessarily. And if there is one nation that is still the leader by default, but also by its own merits, that is the United States. And that's what the book tries to be about, is to help American policymakers really to pave the way to leadership in the 21st century. There has been a lot of books and a lot of debate about American decline and arguments that here we are, the crisis was sort of the last nail in the coffin and we're going downhill and the next global leader will be China, and that American era is over. And when this debate started to brew, when the crisis unfolded in 2008 or so, this created, or I started to question that quite a lot, because in a way, people oftentimes discount America's ability to reinvent itself and to come back. History is not linear. So, if one day you seem to be not doing so well, it doesn't mean that you'll be going downhill, all along. The same for emerging markets. They seem to be doing so great and soaring, and now they are facing challenges. So, there's a lot of non-linearity in history, and there's also a lack of acknowledgement that the world economy is a win-win place, where if China wins and does well, we win as well, as opposed to having this sort of a view of zero-sum game in world affairs. To me, the debate on American decline is not relevant in the sense that, yes, we may be less in GDP terms in the global economy in the next 5 years or so, 10 years, whatever. But, does that disqualify us from leading, or does just the economic growth or size in the world economy make others leaders? And there's a whole different issue with leadership in the world economy, and somebody still has to coordinate the play. And to me, the book is really about sort of celebration of globalization and a call for leadership to uphold the global economic system that we have created in the past 60 years, that has provided so much wealth and so much good for countries around the world.